It was probably the summer of 2010. I was 15 or 16 years old at the time. My neighbors and I snuck out on a school night to walk around and smoke some joints and cigarettes. Typical rebellious teen stuff. Throughout the night, we told scary stories. Not ghost stories, but tales of a rape that happened in our neighborhood in the 70s, kidnappers, and other dark topics. All to scare each other. It was around 1 a.m. and we were walking down a long stretch of street on our way home. There were very few streetlights and lots of oak trees, making it very dark, and it was also raining at this point. A little ahead of us on our left side, the other side of the street, a hooded figure emerged from the front door of a house and started walking in the same direction as us. Then, they crossed the street, so if we continued, we'd walk by them. To avoid them, we crossed the road, but this person crossed back and confronted us in the street under a dim streetlight. To our surprise, when they removed the hood, it was a beautiful red-headed woman, probably in her late 30s or early 40s. She didn't smell of alcohol, but was probably drugged. She seemed very aloof and seemed to gaze into my soul in a weird way. She started asking us questions like, "Why are you out so late? Where do you live? Do your parents know where you are?" She also tried to make an advance on me and grab me, but I was very paranoid and on edge. So I stepped back and said, "Step off, don't touch me." Meanwhile, a man in a light blue NY Yankees hat was walking down the street, smoking a cigarette. He had a purposeful stride and looked intimidating. He was probably in his late 20s. He walked right by us, right by us. After we carried on and told the woman to piss off, he turned back around and approached us. He said, "What did that woman say to you? What did she tell you?" We reiterated her questions and told him she freaked us out and must be crazy or on drugs. He thanked us and chased the woman down. She had begun walking back the way we came from, and pulled her back into the house she came out of. All the while she was fighting back against him. I never saw that woman ever again, or the guy. This happened one street over from my house. Who were they? Why did she approach us? Why did the guy want to know what she said? I did not sleep a wink that night. It was unsettling as hell. When it was all going down, I was positive she was a distraction for the guy to jump us and stick us with a needle or something. We had discussed kidnap kits that night, so that's where my mind was. I know this may not be scary, but it was certainly strange, and I was unsettled as hell. I was an addict for many years. The harder the drugs, the better. To support my habit, I resorted to shoplifting once I was too messed up to hold a job. One night, with nowhere to sleep, I decided to walk to the big box store that was open 24/7. It was about an hour's walk. While leaving our downtown area around 3 a.m., I encountered a woman walking toward me who resembled a real-life version of the cat lady from The Simpsons. Muttering to herself, she walked towards me. Here's the weird part. There were streetlights in front of and behind me, casting shadows in both directions. Imagine a laser line going from my eyeballs down in front of me to the farthest point of my shadow. When this woman got close enough, she stuck out her hand so that, from my perspective, her fingers lined up with my shadow. Then she made a pinching motion and put her hand in her pocket, giggling and looking at me briefly before passing by and walking in the opposite direction. I was fairly used to strange occurrences late at night in our town. It's said that Native Americans believe the boundary separating this world from the next is thinner at the location of our town. I even found an old history book in our library stating they would travel here to perform rituals, but they would not reside here permanently. The book was pretty bland and didn't specify why, but to me, that adds a little credence to the rumors. Anyway, when the woman passed me, I didn't want her behind me without keeping an eye on her, so I turned around. This was only a second or maybe two after she passed me, so she should have been within 5 feet or so of me. But she was gone. This was the part that has always troubled me. A homeless person pinching the air right over my shadow could have been attributed to many things, but her disappearance added a blatantly supernatural element to the whole thing, if you ask me. It creeps me out to think that something that can appear and vanish at will might have stolen a fragment of my shadow. Has anyone ever heard folklore about something like this? Yes, I'm sure I was high at the time, but heroin and fentanyl don't usually make people experience weird things like this. I was also an experienced user and a rational person for the most part. I don't believe this was any kind of hallucination whatsoever. In my mind, this happened exactly as I've described it. I have a friend that, if I mention this story, quietly but emphatically tells me not to talk about it. I've asked him if he knows something, and he just said, "Some things you don't talk about lest they get worse." I've been clean and sober now for almost 80 days, working hard to stay that way and to improve my position in life. I strive to be a better person every day than I was the day before, but this one event is one of the few experiences in my life that I don't understand. One other thing, throughout my addiction from age 17 to 45, I overdosed on heroin and fentanyl about 21 times. I had a near-death experience once where I either had a DMT hallucination or died and experienced hell for 13 minutes. I don't know, maybe this event is related to how long I flirted with death. 4 of those 21 or so times, I had the defibrillator used on me, and several times the doctors emphasized that they had brought me back to life, not just woken me up. Thank you for reading my story. And while I have your attention, please do things to make the world better and to help people. You never know who's having a terrible day, and small actions on your part can mean the world to someone. I am now a 32-year-old female. There have been a few actually terrifying things I've experienced in my life so far. One of the first ones was in my cousin's trailer. We were kids and lived in a trailer park that consisted of only my family. So, all my aunts, uncles, and cousins were in about 6 trailers. One day, we were playing hide and seek in my cousin's trailer. They are sisters. There were 5 of us in total, all girls, 2 sets of sisters and me. It was my turn to seek. I counted and went looking for my cousins. I checked a few good hiding places we used, then decided to go to the girls' room. As soon as I turned the corner into their doorway, I saw a tall black cloaked figure standing there, holding a photo of them that was on their dresser. It wore a flowy cloak that seemed like it was made from very dark smoke. It was staring at the photo of them and didn't seem to notice me right away. I kind of gasped, and it turned quickly and looked right at me. All I could see was the blackest hole where the head should have been. I immediately ran into the living room, screaming and crying and begging for everyone to come out of their hiding spots. They all came out confused and annoyed. I tried telling them what I saw, and no one believed me. My heart was beating so hard, and I couldn't calm down. So I just walked home.